In this first video for Lab 11, we're going to be talking about a study of patients who have gone through treatment for anorexia nervosa. Several different measures were gathered on these patients before they started treatment and after they started treatment. We can use a repeated measures t-test to look at differences before and after treatment on various variables. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the instructional materials. I'm going to come on down and I'm going to open up the data set first and download it so that I have it, and hopefully you've done the same. I'm going to save it to my desktop. And next I'm going to come back to the module and I will download the actual instructions. So let's take a look at this particular study. So for this study, there were 75 male and female patients who went through a treatment for anorexia nervosa. The patients were assigned to one of 3 different types of treatment modalities, but that's not really part of this repeated measures test. Just that they went through treatment is what we care about. All the patients completed a 90-day inpatient treatment program. So the data has some variables of interest for us. First of all, their weight was gathered pre-treatment and post-treatment, as well as their measure of their life satisfaction and a measure of their self-esteem. So the question is, did any of these things change, weight, life satisfaction, or self-esteem, as a result of treatment? And we can do a repeated measures t-test to take a look at this. So our directions are this. We're going to be asked to confirm that the variable types are correct, and we're going to enter variable labels. So the first thing I'm going to do is open JASP and upload the data. And there it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each of the variables to see that they are classified correctly. And the first one I see is treatment. It shows it as an ordinal variable. It's not. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to change that to a nominal variable. They're just distinct categories, the type of treatment that somebody went through. Age is scale variable, perfect. Gender in this case is nominal. Ethnicity is not ordinal. There's no order to ethnicity, so I'm going to put that as nominal. And the rest of them are scale variables, so we're in good shape. The next thing we needed to do is put the value labels for the nominal variables. So for treatment, number 1 was conventional. For cognitive behavioral, I'm just going to put CBT. And for the third, it was family. I have to hit enter to make sure it takes and close it out. Gender, we had 1 for males and 2 for female. And finally, we have the various ethnicities to fill in. And voila, they are there. Okay, let's take a look and see what our directions are telling us to do next. It says to complete a frequency table for the nominal/ordinal variables and measures of central tendency or dispersion for the scale variables. This is something we do with every single data set that we've been working with. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to go to descriptives, and I'm going to move my nominal variables over first to the variables box. I'm going to click on frequency tables, and then I'm going to remember to uncheck the statistics, because I can't find an average of a nominal variable. I can't find a standard deviation. They're not numbers, they're categories. All right, so now I have my tables. I'm going to come back to descriptives, and this time I'm going to move all the scale variables over. And this time I don't have to do a darn thing because it gives me the mean and standard deviation by default, and now I have all of that information. So coming up is the fun part, which is we're going to do a paired samples t-test with the first variable of pre and post weight. So if I'm doing an intervention for anorexia nervosa, I expect that the weights will be higher at time 2 than they were at time 1. That's my goal, is to help people to put on some weight. And so when we are setting up our paired samples t-test, the order in which we enter the variables is really important. So I'm going to move post weight to the variables pair box first, and then I'm going to move pre-weight to the variable pairs box. And I'm going to remember I need to do it in this particular order in order for this all to make sense in the output. So I'm going to come on over here. I'm going to go to t-test, paired samples t-test, and then I'm going to move post-weight over first, and then pre-weight. And so what this will do is it's going to take each person's post-weight score and minus the pre-weight score. All right. In your directions, you also have some other things that you were asked to check off. Students should be checked because this is the t-test. We're going to keep this no difference hypothesis, or the alternative hypothesis is that there is a difference, a two-tailed test, in other words, not a one-tailed test as would be here. Hit the assumption checks of normality, click on effect size, and click on descriptives, and keep this missing values here. So now you have done a paired samples t-test in no time flat. You've done it. Let's take a look and see what we have. So it shows here in which direction the subtraction went. So it was post-weight minus pre-weight. The t was 2.677, which means it's positive. So that means that the post-weight was higher than the pre-weight. It's a positive number. And degrees of freedom are 74. Here's where we're going to evaluate statistical significance. If it's less than 0.05, it is statistically significant. We reject the null hypothesis. You got to keep saying those words over and over again. Then Cohen's d tells us about the effect size. So we're going to go back and we're going to do this again. According to your directions, let's read what the directions say. You're going to repeat what we've just done for satisfaction with life and self-esteem, pre and post. So let's do that. So this time I'm going to start over again, t-test, paired samples t-test. This time I'm going to put post-satisfaction with life first because I expect it to be higher than the pre-satisfaction with life. There we go. And I'm going to click on normality and effect size and descriptives. And then I have that paired samples t-test next. So when we take post-satisfaction with life for each person and we subtract pre-satisfaction with life, our t is 2.659, our p is 0.01. So think about how you would interpret that as well. We have one more to do, and that's the self-esteem measure. So I'm going to come back to t-test. I'm going to go to paired samples t-test. This time I'm going to move post self-esteem first because I expect that it's going to be bigger than their pre-self-esteem. There you go. And I'm going to click on normality, effect size, and descriptives. And I'll come on over here and see if there was a statistically significant difference between pre and post self-esteem. So we have a t of 7.112, a p of less than 0.001, Cohen's d of 0.82. I think by now you know how to interpret those things. That's what we have. This is how easy it is to do a paired samples t-test using JASP. What you're going to want to do is make sure that you save your results. You can save them as an HTML file and then submit them to me. You're only going to be submitting the results for this one output. You're going to do the other analysis in the second video, but you're not going to submit that output. Okay, that's it. I'll see you at the next video.